الرحيم أأنتم أشد خلقا أم السماء بناها رفع سمكها فسواها وأغطش ليلها وأخرج ضحاها والأرض بعد ذلك دحاها أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها والجبال أرساها متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم فإذا جاءت الطامة الكبرى يوم يتذكر الإنسان ما سعى وبرزت الجحيم لمن يرى فأما من طغى وآثر الحياة الدنيا فإن الجحيم هي المأوى وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها فيما أنت من ذكراها إلى ربك منتهاها إنما أنت منذر من يخشاها كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها. صدق الله.
ما شاء الله جزاك الله. کیا سنائیں گے خالی نہیں؟
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. میٹھا میٹھا پیارا پیارا میرے محمد کا نام، میٹھا میٹھا پیارا پیارا میرے محمد کا نام. ہم سب بھیجے ان پہ ہزاروں لاکھوں درود و سلام. میٹھا میٹھا پیارا پیارا میرے محمد کا نام. خیر البشر و خیر الورا و ہم سب کے رہنما وہ، خیر البشر و خیر الورا و ہم سب کے رہنما وہ، اسوا انہی کی راہ عمل ہے، زندگی ہے چراغ. ہم سب بھیجے ان پہ ہزاروں لاکھوں درود و سلام. کامل انسان محبوب یزدہ محبوب ہر خاص و عام. میٹھا میٹھا پیارا پیارا میرے محمد کا نام، میرے محمد کا نام.
جزاک اللہ. قاری نعیم صاحب کی یہ خوبی ہے، جب کہو ماشاءاللہ تیار ہو جاتے ہیں. اللہ قاری نعیم صاحب کو برکت نصیب فرمائے. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم، نحمدہ ونصلی علی رسولہ الکریم. اما بعد. Where did we reach up to yesterday? Dajjal's hadith, we read half of Nawwas ibn Sam'an's riwayat. We were up to Jazakallah. We were up to قلنا يا رسول الله وما لبثه في الأرض. How long will he remain on the earth? Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said 40 days, one day like a year, another like a month, another like a week, and the rest of the days like your normal days. The reason for this, some ulama say because he will have some powers with which he will stop the sun from rotating. Others say this will not be real power of controlling the sun. It will be just perception, a mind game. Allah knows best. Some recent people are saying that he will stimulate the sun. Scientists are trying to stimulate and make a replica of the sun. They will make some things on satellite dish which will throw light like the sun's light. Maybe the Dajjal will have some type of power and he will make the people feel that is the real sun and its day continuing. Now, first day will be like a year, second will be like a month, third will be like a week, and then the rest of the 37 days will be like normal days. Qulna ya Rasulullah, I explained yesterday, as his power reduces, the days will come back to normality. That day in which it will be like a year, one day's 5 namaz be enough for that day? Because that day is as long as 365 days. So will one day's 5 salat be enough? And Prophet ﷺ said, no. You have to estimate the day with its estimation. Now, at that time, there were no watches and clocks. But now clocks have made this easy. Timings. And this hadith helped the fuqaha and muftiyan kiram establish salah and saum times in areas where there is 6 months day and 6 months night. Like on the North Pole. In Norway, if you go on the northern Norway, it's right at the top, and in the summer when sun is rotating around on the top, for 6 months it's daylight. And then when the sun comes down and rotates around the south, for 6 months it's night up there. Now, this hadith explained the masala for them that they have to estimate their timings. And this estimation could be based on aqrabul bilad. Look at the closest city and work according to that. In some areas, this could work on aqrabul ayyam. Like in the UK as well, some ulama say there are certain days in which there is no ghurub of shafaq and no tulu of fajr, subh sadi. It's all light throughout the night. So in those days, they say they work on aqrabul ayyam. Others say sub'ul layali, and others start fajr from 1:30, and that's the roza timing. This is the timing between 13 May and 31st July, 2.5 months. They say the shafaq abyaz for Isha does not disappear. It's still in the west, and on the east, the Subh Sadiq light appears. So the Isha time, according to those who say Isha time starts at the disappearance of Shafaq Abyad, the whiteness on the sky, the light on the sky. Mashhur call is the red light disappears, Maghrib time finish, Isha time starts. But Imam Abu Hanifa's opinion is no, it's Shafaqi, not Shafaqi Ahmar, Shafaqi Abiyaz. So based on that, they say there is no night. Is day continuous. So you work on either Aqrabul Ayyam according to the timetable of the 12th May. So from 13th May to 31st July, you use the 12th May timetable. Or you work on Aqrabul Bilad, or you calculate accordingly. That's how Muftiyan Kiram differ in the timing. And since the masla is ijtihadi, in ijtihadi masail, we can't be too strict because every mufti is right. In ijtihad, Imam Shafi is right, Imam Abu Hanifa is right, Imam Malik is right, Imam Ahmad is right. They're all right. Though haq with Allah, whatever it may be, but they did their ijtihad, so they're all doing the right thing. We can take our Imam's opinion, and our belief should be that the Imam who I am following is on haq, though there is possibility of mistake in there. And the other Imam's research is could be it could be khata, most likelihood is khata, though possibility of sawab is in there as well. So I am following my Imam because I believe his research is closest to Quran and Sunnah. Anyway, this is masla of the Isha timing. Also, similar moon sighting as well. Ijtihadi masala. Those who are following Saudi is ijtihadi masala. Following moon sighting observatory, ijtihadi masala. Both correct. Whatever your ilaka, your masjid are doing, follow that. No problem. Don't criticize one another in the field. Over here, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, "Uqduru lahu qadrahu." قلنا يا رسول الله وما إسراعه في الأرض. How fast will he travel on the earth? And he said, كالغيث استدبرته الريح. Clouds carrying rainwater pushed by heavy storm and wind, he will travel at that speed. Very fast. Now, people couldn't understand those days aeroplane. Dajjal could have his special aeroplanes. He will travel in those planes. فَيَأْتِي الْقَوْمِ فَيَدْعُوهُمْ فَيُؤْمِنُونَ بِهِ. Now he'll come to a community, he will invite them, they will believe in him that he is God. So he will tell the sky to rain over them and the earth to produce vegetation and fruit, and their animals will come in the most healthiest of forms with the largest of udders filled with milk, and they will be very happy and rejoicing. The other people will reject his claim and he will turn away from them, and there will be no rainwater, no produce, and they will, in the next day, they will be very mumhilin, fakir and poor and hungry and thirsty. Nothing, they will have nothing from their wealth and very poor as well. This is one of his powers which Allah has given him. This is why he is the greatest fitna test. And as I mentioned yesterday, poverty is something for, when a person becomes poor, he sells his deen. May Allah protect us. It forces a person to sell the deen. This is why those people who will remain steadfast in the face of Dajjal, they will have a very high rank in the eyes of Allah. Their sawab and reward will be huge. Allah will give them lots of rewards. He will pass by some area which is just derelict, open, and he will say to that area, bring out your treasures. So gold and silver and treasures will follow him like the honeybees follow the queen bee. So he will have lots of wealth. He will give people wealth, money. People will take that money. But what good is that money for which you believe in Dajjal as the God? But people will take it and believe in him as God. Money talks these days as well. Brown envelope. You can buy people. So Dajjal will buy people through his wealth. Then the incident of killing one person, chopping into two pieces, and then bringing back to life. Another great fitna, trial of Dajjal. This, and then Nabi Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam talked about Isa bin Maryam and his nuzul. We'll go over that later on. Let's finish these hadiths of Dajjal. One hadith we read yesterday, Shareek's riwayat, that people will flee from Dajjal and they will go into mountains. So Shareek asked, where will the Arab be? Because Arabs are brave, they should fight him. And he replied, they will be few. Meaning they won't have the strength. People will not have the strength to confront Dajjal and engage in battle with him. Arabs will be few. Arabs will be few. This is happening today. You see, Arabs are reducing. Khalis Arab. You go in the Arabian lands, most of them are muta'arrib. They're either one of the parents are non-Arabs. Long time ago, first time we went for Hajj. We stayed in a hotel, Al-Qasr Al-Abyad. لصاحبه Khalil Bahadur. The owner was named Khalil Bahadur. I said, Bahadur to Urdu ka lafaz hai yaar. Iska malik, itni badi hotel aur uska malik Khalil Bahadur. वो पीछे डिसेंडेंट उसके कहीं से इंडिया से दिल्ली से लोग आए होंगे, उनके औलाद में से होगा, लेकिन इतना बड़ा अरब मालिक बन गया. So Arabs will be on the decline. Pure Khalis Arab will be very few when Dajjal comes. يتبع الدجال من يهود إصفهان 70,000 عليهم الطيالسة. Dajjal will be followed by the Jews of Isfahan, 70,000 in number. They will be wearing Taylasan. Taylasan sometimes is translated as Hudas Jubba. Over here it is translated as Sabz Chadar, green shawls. They will all have one uniform of this type of greenish libas, and green shawls will be over them. Iran is known for its shawls and embroidery and etc. So they will have a special type of uniform which they will be wearing when they follow the Dajjal. Over here in this kitab, Maulana, the Musannif, Hazrat Ustad Maulana Fadl Muhammad Saab writes that in Iran, Rafzis and Shias are turning to Judaism, Yahud in large numbers, maybe paving the way for Dajjal. They're not becoming Sunnis, they're becoming Yahudis. Hazrat writes in here. And Isfahan is an area, is a very large city of Iran. Dajjal will reach there or uluhiyat ka da'wa karega. From there, he will claim divinity that I am God. Then the next hadith about Dajjal not being able to enter the Medina Sharif, and he will stop and camp behind Uhud in some of the salty areas, and a man from Medina will approach him who will be the best person at that time or among the best person and say, I testify you are Dajjal. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us about you. And Dajjal will say to his soldiers, if I kill him and then bring him back to life, will you doubt my matter? They say no. So he will kill him, bring him back to life. But the person will say, Wallah, I have more conviction that you are the Dajjal. I was never more convinced before. Dajjal will again try to grab hold of him and kill him, but this time he won't be able to kill him. Now, who is this man? Number one, some shurra say it is Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam. Khizr or Khazir. He's still alive. Sufiya Kiram believe that Khazir alayhi salam is still alive. This Rajulun Khairun Nas is Khazir alayhi salam. He will be in Medina. He will go out of Medina to Dajjal. And he used the word Haddathana Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam hadithahu, which means he himself heard this hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is why this number one opinion is that is Khazir alayhi salam. Number two, second opinion is It's not Khazir alayhi salam. It's one of the ulama mashayikh of that time. And haddathana hadithahu, it means we heard his hadith through chains of narrations and many hadiths regarding Dajjal. Then we move on to the next hadith of Tamim Dari radiyallahu anhu. Fatima bintu Qais reports, سمعت منادي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ينادي الصلاة جامعة. I heard the announcer announce that Salah is gathering everyone in masjid. فخرجت إلى المسجد. I went towards masjid. فصليت مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I prayed namaz with Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم in the ladies area. فلما قضى صلاته جلس على المنبر وهو يضحك. When he finished Salah, he sat on the minbar and he was smiling. فقال ليلزم كل إنسان مصلاه. Every person should stay where he is, remain seated. Every person should remain in his seat where he prayed his namaz. ثم قال. Then he said, هل تدرون لما جمعتكم? Do you know why I gathered you now early for this namaz? We said, Allah Rasul know best. قال إني والله ما جمعتكم لرغبة ولا لرهبة. I did not gather you here for anything which is of desire or anything of fear, meaning something you might desire like mal ghanimat and I wanted to distribute it, or some enemy attacking and there was fear, we have to go out and fight. It was not for any of those purposes. ولكن جمعتكم, however I gathered you over here today لأن تميما الداري كان رجلا نصرانيا فجاء وأسلم. Tamim Dari was a Christian man. He came, embraced Islam. وحدثني حديثا وافق الذي كنت أحدثكم به عن المسيح الدجال. He related to me a hadith which coincides with what I have been telling you about Masih Dajjal. حدثني أنه ركب في سفينة بحرية مع 30 رجلا من لخم وجذام. He narrated that he rode on a large ship which sails in the oceans with 30 men from the tribes of Lakham and Juzam. So the waves played around with them for 1 month in the ocean. Then they finally reached an island when the sun was about to set. So they sat in small boats and they entered that Jazeera island. So they were met by a creature, دابة أهلب كثير الشعر لا يدرون ما قبوله من دبره من كثرة الشعر. A creature which was extremely hairy. They could not separate the front from the back due to the excessive hair on its body. They said, woe unto you, what are you? And she replied, I am Jassasa. They said, what is Jassasa? The intelligence gatherer. So she said, oh people, go to this man in this derelict building because he is yearning for information from you. Tamim says, when she mentioned a man to us, we were scared from her that she might be a devil, shaitan, a jinni. So we rushed towards that derelict and house or place, and in there was a فإذا فيه أعظم إنسان ما رأيناه قط خلقا وأشده وثاقا مجموعة يده إلى عنقه ما بين ركبتيه إلى كعبيه بالحديد. We saw that there was a huge giant human being in there that we could have ever seen with regards to body, and he was severely tied. His hand was tied to his neck, and the area between his knees and his ankles was also tied with chains, metal chains. We said, woe unto you, who are you? In the other riwayat, he was jumping between up and down between the roof, ceiling and the floor. So we said, who are you? Ma anta. So He replied, قَدْ قَدَرْتُمْ عَلَى خَبَرِي. You have been able to gather my information. فَأَخْبِرُونِي مَا أَنْتُمْ. You tell me, who are you? قَالُوا نَحْنُ نَاسٌ مِّنَ الْعَرَبِ. So Tamim and his friends said, we are some people from the Arabs. We rode on a large ship, and the ocean played around with us for 1 month. And we entered this island, and we were met by a creature extremely hairy who said, I am Jassasa, go into this derelict house. We came to you rushing. So he said, okay, أخبروني عن نخل بيسان. Tell me about the date palm trees and that bagh and orchard of Baisan. Hal tuthmiru, is it still bearing fruits? We said yes. He said, Ama innaha tushiku alla tuthmira. The time is close when it will not produce any fruits. Then he said, tell me about Buhaira Tabriya, the massive lake of Tabriya, Tabristan. We asked, what news of it do you want to know? And he said, Hal fiha ma'un? Is there water in that massive lake? And we said, Hiya kathiratun ma. Of course, it has lots of water. Qala ma inna ma'aha yushiku an yadhhaba. The thing is that the time is close when that water will recede and dry out. The whole lake will dry out. Then he said, tell me about the Aine Zughar, the fountain which is in the area of Zughar. So we said, what part of it do you want to know? And he said, Hal fil Aini ma'un wal yazra'u ahluha bima'il Aini. Is there water in that fountain? And do people irrigate their fields with the water of that waterfall or fountain? We said, yes. It has lots of water, plenty of water, and people do use it to irrigate their fields with it. So he said, tell me about Nabiyul Ummiyin, the prophet of the unlettered people. Ma fa'ala, what's happened to him? قُلْنَا قَدْ خَرَجَ مِن مَكَّةَ وَنَزَلَ يَثْرِبَ. We replied, he's migrated from Makkah and he has descended in Yathrib. He said, have the Arabs fought with him? We said yes. And he asked, then how did he deal with them? And we informed him that he has had the upper hand over those Arabs who are around him, and they have obeyed him. So he said, well, that is best for them that they obey him. And now I will tell you about myself. I am Masihud Dajjal, and the time is close when I will be allowed to emerge. I will come out and I will travel the earth. I will not leave a city, but I will descend in every city within 40 nights, except for Makkah and Taibah. These two cities have been made haram upon me, both of them. Every time I intend to enter one of them, an angel will face me with a sword in his hand, which is sheathed. He will stop me from entering them. And upon every road from the roads which lead in Makkah and Medina will be angels guarding it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whilst hitting his stick on the mimbar, Hazihi Taiba, Hazihi Taiba, Hazihi Taiba. This is Taiba, this is Taiba, this is Taiba. He meant Medina Sharif, its second name is Taiba. And then he said, listen carefully. Did I not tell you exactly this, similar to what he has said just a few days ago? He meant. And people said, yes, Ya Rasulullah, you just talked about it. Exactly as Tamim Dari had described. Then he said, listen carefully, he is either in the ocean of Sham or the ocean of Yemen? No, but he might be in the ocean of East, wherever he is, and he pointed with his hands toward the east. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not want to reveal the exact spot where the Dajjal is kept. That's why Prophet ﷺ said he could be in the Sham or Yemen or on the eastern side. Now, again, Tamim Dari radiallahu anhu was traveling in a large ship. Now they had no diesel engines in those days. They used to rely on the wind. And the wind would sometimes be very fast, and the ship would travel very quickly and get from A to B. Sometimes from Bombay to Jeddah, they could get there in a matter of less than a week. At other times, it would take a month. So over here, the wind kept on playing around, moving around in the ocean from one direction to the other direction for a month. And then they came to a jazeera, an island. And when they went in small boat and on the island, they saw this creature. And it looks like it was some jinn or jinniya in that form, because it was covered from head to toe in hair. You can't tell whether the front or the back due to the excessive hair on the body. So they were scared. And they said, "Who are you?" And she said, "Anal Jassasa. I am the intelligence gatherer. I am checking out." And we were scared when she said, "I am Jassasa." And she herself said, "Go in this building." Empty building, broken pieces here and there. There is a man in there who's waiting for your news. And they quickly rush into the building and they see the Dajjal there. He's massive in size, largest giant we could have seen, as Tamim Dari describes. And he was tied in chains. His hand was tied to his neck and his feet were tied. And he was jumping, springing up and down from one place to the other. And then he asked questions. We said to him, "Who are you?" And he said, "Oh, you have come to know about me. Chalo, you tell me, who are you?" And we said, "We are some Arab people from Arabistan. And we rode on this ship and we ended up here." So he said, "Okay, tell me about Nakhle Baisan." It's a very large farmland in which there are thousands of date palm trees. And it is somewhere in Jordan Valley. This Jordan Valley khajur which comes with jewel could be from those areas. So he said, there is one Musannif Maulana Mufti Abu Lubaba Sahab. He wrote books on the Dajjal and he gave photos of that orchard, that bagh as well. So is it still producing fruit? Yes, it is. What about Buhaira Tabariya? Buhaira is tasghir of Bahr, small sea, means a large lake. That massive lake of Tabariya. These are two Tabariya lakes. The one mentioned over here is in the area between Palestine and Jordan. And Mufti Abu Lubaba has given photo of that as well. And he said that it's drying out slowly. And Israel is using all its water. It looks like a day will come when that whole lake will dry out. So he asked, Buhaira Tabariya, we said it's still got lots of water. About Ain Zughar, some place where there is waterfall and fountain, water gushing forth. People using it for irrigation, yes. He said, well, a time will come when Buhaira Tabariya will dry and the fountain and the waterfalls will also dry. And then he said, tell me about Nabiyul Ummiyin. Because he also knows about Nabiyul Ummiyin. He knows that he can't come out until Nabiyul Ummiyin comes and goes. Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's arrival is also a sign of Qiyamah. So has he arrived? Yes. Where is he? What is he doing? He has traveled from Makkah to Medina. How are the Arabs behaving with him? Well, he has gained the upper hand and they have obeyed him. And this is something good which he said, because sometimes Al Kazubu Yastuq, Shaitan also speaks something good. So he said it is better for the Arabs to follow Nabiyul Ummiyin. And then he said, I'll tell you who I am. I am Masih Dajjal. The time will come when I will be allowed to come out and I will travel and go around every city. No city will remain where I will not go. In those days, people could not have understood. But now, with air travel, you can go fast. The Dajjal will have some types of transports as well, in which he will move around very swiftly and descend on every city, causing fitnas to the land whichever is inhabited at that time. I will go in every city in 40 nights. You see these 40, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said in the Hadith of Nawas ibn Saman 40, in 40 days and nights, except Makkah Taiba, that they are forbidden for me, both of them. And every time I intend to enter one of them, an angel will be there with the sword in his hand and he will stop me from entering in there. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said in the Hadith, just before this, لا يدخل المدينة الرعب المسيح الدجال لها يومئذ سبعة أبواب على كل باب ملكان. The robe of Dajjal will not enter Medina. It will have 7 gates, and on every gate there will be 2 angels guarding it. Now the other people will not be able to see the angels, but Dajjal will be able to see them. And he will see the sword in there. And he will be taken by awe and scared and terrified. And he will turn around towards Sham, and that's where he will be destroyed. So this is Hazrat Tamim Dari radiallahu anhu's hadith. In the previous hadith of Nawas ibn Sam'an, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned Sayyiduna Isa alayhi salam coming down. And then Sayyiduna Isa alayhi salam pursuing Dajjal. And then catching him at a place called Babel Lud and killing him with the dagger. And showing people the blood in the dagger. Look, this is Dajjal, he's finished. Don't be scared of him now. I've killed him. You no longer have to fear Dajjal. What does all this explain? That Dajjal is a human being, a person. Dajjal is not the name of a system. Some people did claim that Dajjal is system, and we are in the Dajjali system. Imran Hussein claimed that the Dajjali system started with the British Raj in around the world, and the first day of a year, it means first day means for first century. So the first century belonged to the Brits, and then the second century belonged to the so and so Soviets, and now the third to the Americans. And this is all the Dajjali system. And I don't know what he was blurting out, blah blah blah. So we have to understand that Dajjal is a person who will be killed by Sayyiduna Isa ala nabiyina wa alayhi salatu wassalam. We move a little bit onto these hadith. There is next hadith, there is description of the Dajjal, which we have covered before as well. So we leave that, the dream of the Prophet ﷺ, wherein he saw Isa alayhi salam doing tawaf of Kaaba, and he saw Dajjal also doing tawaf of Kaaba. And this was to show that they will roam around the earth. Isa alayhi salam used to go around everywhere. Dajjal will go around everywhere as well. Maybe that was the interpretation of that dream, but the description is given in there. And then Fatima bint Qais's hadith of Tamim Dari with a little bit of addition in there. And you remember I said Tamim Dari Ireland, Imran Hussein said is Great Britain. That means we are all Dajjals. So Allah's Rasul didn't know, and Imran Hussein knew that it was Great Britain. Then next hadith is Ubadah ibn Samit reports, I have told you about Dajjal. I am scared you might not understand fully. That's why I'm telling you again. that Masih Dajjal is qasirun afhaj ja'dun a'war matmusul ayn laysat binadiyatin wala jahra fa in ulbiyasa alaykum fa'lamu anna rabbakum laysa bi'a'war. Masih Dajjal will be short and he will be padda, meaning his feet will be like chicken feet. The heel will be pulling out backwards and the shin will be in the middle. Our heel is small and the front part is long. We wear shoe slippers, but his heel will also be sticking outside. So his feet as well as his face are both ugly. So you can't understand that he can't be God. Allah kept that sign in his body. And his hair will be extremely curly, and one of his eyes will be sapat and gone in, and it will not be too pulled out, not too much in. If you get confused, then remember your Rabb is not one-eyed, and the Dajjal will be one-eyed. In the other riwayat, similar words, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam described him, and he said, لَعَلَّهُ سَيُدْرِكُهُ بَعْضُ مَنْ رَآنِي أَوْ سَمِعَ كَلَامِي. Perhaps some of those who have seen me or heard my words will meet him. Muhaddithin say this is reference towards Khazir alayhi salam. Wallahu a'lam. Next riwayat, الدجال يخرج من أرض بالمشرق يقال له يها خراسان يتبعه أقوام كأن وجوههم المجان المطرقة. He will emerge from the east, from a land called Khurasan, and such people will follow him, whose faces will be like double-skinned shields. They used to have metal shields covered with leather. Now, if you put double leather on there, the shield would look very fat, thick. So people whose cheeks will be pulled out like extra leather is on there. Perhaps this is reference to the Chinese, Mongolians, and those types of people, because their eyes inside and their cheeks are pulled out. So he will be followed from the eastern side by such these described peoples. So he will come from Khurasan, he will move on to Isfahan, and in Isfahan he will claim to be divine, and the Yahud Isfahan will join his army. He will have a large army when he moves forward. Next hadith, Imran ibn Hussein says, Man sami'a bid-Dajjal falyana' minhu. فوالله إن الرجل لا يأتيه وهو يحسب أنه مؤمن فيتبعه مما يبعث به من الشبهات. Whoever hears about Dajjal should stay well away from him. Wallah, a person will approach him thinking, I am a firm believer, I won't be affected by Dajjal. But when he goes to him, he will follow him because of the shubuhat which will be given to Dajjal. And this is not just for Dajjal, it's for all fitnas. If you hear about any fitteen, don't approach him. Stay well away from him. If you know this person is fitna khor on YouTube and he talks blah 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 about Islam, why do you watch his video and give him more views? Why do you listen to his lecture? Don't think I am a firm believer, nothing's going to happen to me. It could affect you as well. So Huzur Akram Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, if you hear about Dajjal, then run away from him. Don't go near him. Because you might think you are a believer, but when you see all that Shobada and Kartab and magic and sorcery which he is doing, you will also believe in him and become his follower. So protect your Iman, don't go close to him. There is this book called Minas Dhulumati ila Nur, a Hindu boy who embraced Islam. And he mentioned how he slowly came towards Islam. He had friends in school who were Muslims, and he used to listen about Islam from them. And he used to go to their house, and he used to see them and their reading, their interaction, and he fell in love with Islam. He wanted to embrace Islam, but he was from the elite family, so he couldn't. So he used to, come to the friends and their ustad teacher, see them reading Quran Sharif as well, and he wanted to embrace Islam. So he asked the alim, the ustad, And the Ustad gave him some du'as that every night before you go to sleep, read this. Talk to Allah. Oh Allah, guide me towards the truth. Help me. And he used to do that. He says, I had heard from my friends that on the 27th night, the trees and the stones do sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when it was the 27th night of Ramzan, I slept outside and on the rooftop of my house, and I kept looking at the trees. I stayed awake. I kept looking at the trees, waiting for them to go in sajda. But I couldn't, stay awake any longer, so I fell asleep. I woke up in the morning, I thought, oh, I missed it. I couldn't see it. Now, he is not a Muslim, but he has so much yaqeen. And he doesn't understand that this sajda is spiritual, not physical. Anyhow, he writes that one night I saw a dream and I saw Dajjal. And there were lots of children around him and he was giving out sweets. So he offered me sweets as well. But I said, no, I don't want it. So he, gave me dirty looks and he ran after me. And I ran and I ran. And I saw in the bushes Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And he pointed to me, come here. So I ran to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Dajjal couldn't find me. And then he says, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam consoled me. And he said, don't worry, such tests and trials will come, but be strong. So he says, next morning, I related this dream to the Maulana Sahib after school time. And Maulana Sahib said, it looks like your time for embracing Islam is closed. And the long story, he did embrace Islam. He had to go through a lot. His parents were angry. They tortured him. But somehow he remained steadfast. This is before partition, around about 1920-25. So Dajjal and his fitna does come in these forms. Over here as well, Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying, Dajjal will call you, don't approach him, stay away from him, run away from him. Then we have some other hadith. Over here it says, before Dajjal's arrival, there will be 3 years of hardships. In the first year, the sky will withhold 1/3 of its rain, and the earth will withhold 1/3 of its produce. Second year, 2/3. Third year, all of it. And the domestic animals and the animals which live in the forests and jungles will all die. And there will be so much drought and hardship. Among his severest fitnas is that he will come to a Bedouin and say to him, look, if I was to bring back to your life your camels, will you not believe and know that I am your Rabb and God? He say yes. So shayateen will take the form of his camels in the most beautiful form with the beautiful large humps and filled other udders filled with milk. So the Bedouin will believe in him. He will come to a person and say to whose brother and father had died, look, if I was to bring your father and brother back to life, will you not believe I am your Rabb? And the person will say yes. So shayateen will take forms of his father and brother. Asma bint Yazid, the narrator, reports that then Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam went out for his personal need. Then he came back and people were really worried and shaken and anxious due to what Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said. So he got hold of the 2 frames of the door, and while standing there he said, Mahyam Asma, what's up Asma? I said, Ya Rasulullah, you have pulled out our hearts by mentioning Dajjal. We are really scared. He replied, if Dajjal was to come out whilst I am still alive, then I will confront him. Otherwise, my Rabb is my deputy upon every mu'min. Then I said, Ya Rasulullah, Wallah, sometimes we need the dough and we have not made bread with it until we feel the effects of the hunger. We can't take that much hunger. So, what will happen to the mu'mineen on that day when they will be so hungry and no food? Nabi Pak Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, that which suffices the people of the heavens, meaning the angels, will suffice them. He meant tasbih, taqdees, that the mu'mineen will read the tasbih of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that tasbih will help them to survive. In the other riwayat, similar words are said. Also, the last and final riwayat of this bab is that he will come out on himarun akmar, ma bayna udhunayhi sab'una ba'an, a white colored donkey, and the area between its two ears will be 70 ba'. One ba' is the area between two hands when you stretch them out. Now, in those days, Sahaba couldn't understand how can there be such a large, massive donkey. But today we can understand. Mufti Abu Lubaba writes in his book, is the aeroplane. The area between the two wings is so broad. So Prophet ﷺ could have said that he will have these types of rides. Himar does not mean necessarily donkey, it means a ride. So his ride will be so big. Over here in this kitab, Hazrat Maulana narrates that Dajjal is mentioned in the books of the Jews as well. यहूदियों की किताबों में भी दज्जाल के बारे में बहुत कुछ लिखा गया है. चुनांचे यहूदियों की एक किताब इज़ाखील में दज्जाल के बारे में लिखा है कि यहूद कहते हैं, ए सईहून की बेटी खुशी से चिल्लाओ, ए यरूशलेम की बेटी मसरत से चीखो, देखो तुम्हारा बादशाह यानी दज्जाल आ रहा है, वो आदिल है और गधे पर सवार है, खच्चर या गधी के बच्चे पर. मैं यूफ्रीम से गाड़ी को और यरूशलेम से घोड़े को अलहदा करूंगा. बहवाला इस किताब का हवाला दिया है. So it says that the Yahud are also anticipating his arrival. They are making preparations. In Lud, they've made a special airport for the arrival of Dajjal. So they know all these ahadith as well. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the fitna of Dajjal. People are, very anxious. Dajjal, when's he going to come? But really, we should be scared. We should make dua, Allah kare apni lifetime mein nahi aave. Apne mari jaye pachi Allah jane, Allah nu kam jane. But in our life, because who knows whether we're going to be able to protect our iman or not. Upon this comes to a close the hadith of Dajjal. After this, in Mishkat, there is Bab Qissati ibn Sayyad. Shall I just recap that in briefly 2 minutes? In the time, we won't read the hadith because it will take too much time. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, among the Yahud, a child was born and he was a little bit different from other children. He used to behave a little bit different as well. As he grew up and he was Qaribul Bulugh, being mature, he used to see stuff and say things. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam on one instance approached him and he was murmuring a few things. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam secretly tried to hear what he was saying, but his mother alerted him, Aysaf, Aza Muhammad, and he stopped. On one occasion, he was playing with his friends. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam approached him and asked him, what do you see? And he said, I see some true things and some untrue as well. Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, and he said, I see arshan al ma. I see a throne on water, on the ocean, sea. Now, throne cannot stand in water, it will sink. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, he sees the throne of Iblis on the ocean. Iblis communicates with him. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, Atashhadu anni Rasulullah? Do you believe I am Allah's Rasul? And he asked Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, do you believe that I am Allah's Rasul? He's still a young boy. And he's saying this. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam just ignored him and he said, I believe amantu billahi wa rasulihi, in Allah and all his Rasuls. Now, he used to say these things which in somewhat confused the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not reveal the exact identity of this young man, Ibn Sayyad, to Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam died whilst this thing remained. Now, Sayyiduna Umar radiallahu anhu was with Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam at that time. And when he was doing these things, and Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam was scared that he might be Dajjal, Hazrat Umar said, Ya Rasulullah, let me finish him off. And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, no. If he is Dajjal, then he will be finished by Isa alayhi salam, not you. And if he is not Dajjal, then there is no point in killing him. Leave him alone. Because he is Zimmi. He and his parents were living in Medina with asylum, refuge. So we can't touch them. Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam died. Sahaba were still a little bit concerned regarding him. Hazrat Jabir radiallahu anhu used to say, Allah ni qasam, he was Dajjal. He would take a qasam. And he was asked what happened to him. And he said, he just suddenly disappeared in the battle of Harra in the year 61 after Hijrah. We never knew where he disappeared. Once Ibn Sayyad, later on Ibn Sayyad, he left Judaism, he became Muslim. And he was traveling to Makkah Mukarramah for Hajj or Umrah. Abu Sa'id Khudri radiallahu anhu was in that caravan. They stopped at one place, and Abu Sa'id Khudri radiallahu anhu was sitting near under the shade of a tree, and the Dajjal came to him with a bowl of milk. Sorry, Ibn Sayyad came to him with a bowl of milk. He said, Abu Sa'id, you want to drink this? He said, no, I don't want milk now. He said, I didn't want to drink from his hands. So he said, Abu Sa'id, people doubt me that I am Dajjal. You know Dajjal is kafir. I am Muslim. And you know Dajjal won't be able to enter Makkah, Medina. I was born in Medina and I'm going to Makkah. So Abu Sa'id said that his words were going to have an effect on me and I was going to have a bit of pity for him. And then he said at the end, but I know where he is and exactly what he is doing now. And he said, no, go away from here. So he used to confuse. On one instance, someone asked him, would you like to be Dajjal? And he replied, I wouldn't mind. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu once saw that a piece of flesh protruded and came out on the top of his eye. So Abdullah ibn Umar was scared that he's about to appear. So Abdullah ibn Umar asked him, when did this happen to your eye? It's the boil type thing. And he said, I don't know. So Abdullah ibn Umar said, you don't know why it's on your face? And he said, well, if Allah willed, he could make that swelling on your walking stick as well. So Abdullah ibn Umar got angry and he hit him so hard with the walking stick that Ibn Sayyad fell. He got up and he started swelling. And he filled the whole alleyway with his body. So Ibn Umar was scared. He ran, and he ran to his sister Hazrat Hafsa radiallahu anha's house, and he calmed down there and he read everything. And Hafsa said, why did you make him angry? Do you not know the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the Dajjal will emerge because of some anger which will anger him, some incident which will anger him, and due to that anger and being furious, he will come out. So he said, I will have to behave in future. So this was a little bit about Ibn Sayyad. Jabir said he disappeared in the confusion and the battle of Harra. When the army of Yazid attacked Medina, and Medina was in a turmoil, and many people died and many people disappeared, Ibn Sayyad also disappeared. Now, Imam Nawawi Rahmatullah wrote that Ibn Sayyad, it seems, was not the great Dajjal, but he was a Dajjal from the Dajjajila. He was a mini Dajjal. He was sent as a test for the Sahaba, Ridwanullahi Majma'in. And he said such mini Dajjals will keep appearing before Qiyamah. So we are told that we have to be careful with regards to these Dajjals. Prophet ﷺ said before Qiyamah there will be 30 Kazzabs, Dajjal. They will all claim to be prophets. Listen, I am the last prophet, no prophet after me. So these Dajjals will keep coming. This is why I say any person who creates confusion and chaos in the community is a mini Dajjal. Imran Hussain could be a mini Dajjal because he's caused so much chaos and confusion within the community. So these people and those who create chaos, confuse Muslim community, and that smooth running of Deen Islam, they just cause a turmoil in there. They are acting like Dajjal. And also the imposters, the Jute Nabis, claimants of prophethood, they are Dajjals. Huzur was referring to them in Dajjaluna Kazzabuna. So we as Muslim community have to be very careful with regard to this type of Dajjal and Fareeb and frauds, and so many fraudsters will come, but always be careful and don't fall for their traps. This is how Dajjal's topic now comes to a close. Tomorrow we'll talk about Hazrat Isa alayhi salam and then Yajuj Majuj inshallah from among the signs of Qiyamah. Subhanallah bihamdi. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Ya Arhamar Rahimin, महज अपने फजल व करम से हमारी मग़फ़िरत फरमा दीजिए। अल्लाह हमारे ईमान की हिफाजत फरमाइए। झूठे फ्रॉडस्टर्स और केओस और टर्मोइल पैदा करने वाले और ऐसे बदमाशों गुंडों से हमारी हिफाजत फरमाइए। हमारे ईमान की हिफाजत फरमाइए। हमें अमल सालिह की तौफीक अता फरमाइए और जो काम करना है उसको करते रहने की तौफीक अता फरमाइए। हमारा रमज़ान कबूल फरमाइए, रोज़े और तरावीह कबूल फरमाइए। हमसे राज़ी हो जाइए। हमारे हर काम में आसानी पैदा फरमाइए। हर मुश्किल को आसान कर दीजिए। रब्बना तक़ब्बल मिन्ना इन्नका अंतस समीउल अलीम व तुब अलैना इन्नका अंतत तव्वाबुर रहीम व सल्लल्लाहु व सल्लिम अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व आलिहि व सहाबिहि अजमईन बिरहमतिका।